All righty, ready to go.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome. And is it still like too late to say Happy New Year? I feel like I don't know when that cutoff is. This is the first time seeing you guys in 2023. So um, someone told me I guess it's 7 days, but that feels wrong to me. So I'm still going to say Happy New Year's. We're going to get started with the meeting today. It should be kind of quick. The couple of things I had on the agenda are onboarding, reappointment, license renewals, orientation updates. I wanted to chat a little bit about Resident and Fellow Appreciation Week. And then the final thing is the updated leave of absence. There's a new form and there's a new policy that was shared by GME. So I want to make sure that you guys are in the know with those things. So let's get going. Um, so the first thing I had on the list is onboarding. I don't know if we have any onboarding updates that could be shared. I don't think there's much, but Deb, do you have anything?
I do have a few things. I did not do any slides, so everything I talk about will be provided, at a later date. We just didn't have enough information really for today. So for onboarding, everyone should have received an email from me with a Google Doc to provide information on your already matched trainees that will be starting July 1st or shortly thereafter. About half of you have completed that already. The main thing I need from that spreadsheet are the new trainees' email addresses, and those are needed so I can enter them into MedHub and start creating reports for certain departments that want them ahead of time. ISO is one of them. We want to enter them into MedHub to create a contract for those that need a visa, because that process takes longer. So as soon as you can get that information in there for me, that'd be great. Like I said, about half has already been done. This year, very exciting news. GME does not need to do labels and pre-addressed stamped envelopes anymore. So in years past, I have asked for home addresses. I do not need those. We can wait until they complete their dynamic form when they're assigned the onboarding package. We had a meeting with credentialing, and this is the most exciting news, is they're going to accept the credentialing packet electronically for the first time. However, there is bad news. They cannot accept the Mass Health or Medicare forms electronically. Those still have to be original. So GME is in the process of trying to figure out how we can get those fairly quickly from the new trainees once they're assigned the package. If the programs want to provide a stamped envelope for your trainee, it would only be like a letter, one stamp needed, because it's only, a few pages that need to be returned. That would be great. We also have thought that they could come and bring the forms to orientation, to IS training with them, and we can collect them that way. There is a little bit of concern that may be kind of late, where, this year has been a nightmare with getting them all enrolled, because Deb Giannino cannot submit them without the license. And this past season, it took a while for her to get that, because as you remember, the board was issuing provisionally licensed limited licenses, which there was no certificate available. So we had to wait until they were final approved with the certificate. So that's exciting news there. Employee Health still will be accepting their forms electronically. They have already provided their updated packet. It's pretty similar to last year. That's really all I have for onboarding. Now, the limited license renewals, we still do not have the information needed from the Mass Board. We were told that they were going live the week of the 17th, which is this week. We have not heard one thing from them. They're supposed to reach out to us first because we have to update the board website before any license renewals can be made. We have to terminate, certain ones that are terminating, do the change of programs for the ones that we're aware of first. So the most important thing that you can pass along to your residents and fellows is do not renew your limited license at this time. Even if they receive an email from the Mass Board, they need to wait until we give the okay, because they could start it and submit it. It'll come to me, but I'll have to reject it if there was something that we needed to do prior to them renewing. So that's the most important thing. Just, wait until you receive a go-ahead from us, and then they can do their limited license renewal. One thing that is different that we do know is they will not need to provide a credit card and pay the $100 fee. GME will be paying the $100 fee for all of the renewals and all of the initial limited license applications. In years past, the residents would pay the $100 when they renew, and then we would reimburse. This year, we're paying because the new process doesn't allow an either or. It's either the institution's going to pay or the resident's going to pay. So we have decided that we are going to pay. So that whole process of reimbursements, waiting for every trainee in your program to renew before that can be issued will no longer be. But what will happen is when your trainees in your program renew their limited license, I'll be waiting to submit all from your program to the board for the renewals. This will kind of be an incentive to get them to do it as soon as possible and not kind of wait. So once I have all the applications, they'll come to me electronically. Once I have them all for your program, I will submit. If there are some that had a yes answer or there's a delay, an expected delay for a reason, I can submit the others while we're waiting on, one or two or whatever. So that change will be for this year, and more information to follow as soon as we know. The exact instructions, the board's supposed to provide that for us to distribute to everybody. That we have not received yet either.
All right. Deb, there's a question in the chat from Frankie stating, if someone's getting a full license, should they wait as well?
No, full license applications, as you know, are now available electronically. The board is not really accepting paper anymore. If a trainee applies for a full license and submits a paper application, it is going to take significantly longer. Right now, their applications for full licenses are being approved. We've been seeing 1 week. The average is 17 days. So this is awesome. Awesome news. It seems to be going very smoothly and working as expected. I don't know if your trainees have run into any problems doing that. We still would hope that the trainees do apply for a full license no later than, say, March 1st, sometime in March, because there can always be a delay, especially with the limited licenses not yet going live. And once they do, there's going to be issues with that. And, the board may be distracted from approving full licenses while they're working on limited. So the sooner the better that they get those in is great. Signatures on electronically are good for 6 months. Supervisory evaluation forms for full licenses I have been told by the board that's 4 months. So, start, getting them in by March should be no problem at all. And then, and if they are applying for a full, I believe that was a question on Cassie's reappointment spreadsheet. For the status sheet. If you were aware, then that will give me a heads up to know that they are, which is important. So they don't want to renew a limited. if they're applying for a full, but if they're a PGY2 and they want to apply for a full, they have to wait until the 2 full years or 3 full years if they're an IMG. But so there are some PGY2s that have reached out to me already saying, when can I apply for my full? Well, you need to wait until after June 30th. Because they won't even look at it if you're not eligible yet. You can get it in, you can, get it ready to submit, but submitting electronically, like I said, is a lot quicker. So a PGY2 cannot plan to have a full for July 1st because that won't work. The board won't even look at it until July 1st. So they will need to still renew. Any more questions on full licenses or limited at this time?
All right, I don't see anything at the moment, but if there are additional questions, just put it in the chat and then we can ask in real time. This is a great segue just because you mentioned the status sheet from Cassie. Any updates on reappointment?
Yes, for reappointment. So I have received all of the status sheets. Thank you all so much. I have been reaching out to people if I have additional questions. There's a couple off-cycle things and just, minor little tweaks and stuff that I just need to be made aware of. The biggest thing, if you find out at any point, any of your people are going to faculty, please let me know right away. There's a very particular way that in the GME office, we have to terminate people in order for the clinical side to hire them back correctly. Because if I terminate people on 6:30, that their Epic access, their email, all their system access goes away. And then they have to have a new account created for them. IS gets really about that. So, and same thing with HR, they have to like re-onboard them. It's a whole thing. So if you find out, if you even get a whiff that somebody's going to faculty, please find out, let me know. It's never too late to let me know. Just send me a quick email and I will update that on my end so I can terminate them properly. When it comes to reappointment contracts, I'm at the point I've put all the information together. It just needs, a couple other sets of eyes in the office to make sure that everything looks correct. We have all the correct information. There's 650 trainees going in a million different directions. So it's a lot to double check. I'm hoping by the end of next week, maybe the beginning of next, I'm going to start sending out reappointment contracts. To coincide with the whole new licensing process, the PDs used to have to sign off on it in the website to say that the resident was in good standing. That's no longer a thing in the new system that they've created. So your PDs don't need a login. They don't really need to do much of anything. Really, right, Deb?
That
PDs
is
don't need to do
correct.
anything in the license renewal, other than like, what is it, the supervisor evaluation form, but that's not even done inside the site. It's still that same form. So the way we're gonna kind of get around PDs signing off that somebody's in good standing is the PD signing the reappointment contract. We'll be able to push through, Deb's going to be able to push through all of the limited license renewals for a program once the reappointment contracts are all signed off for that program. Just like how we used to do, we wouldn't submit a reimbursement for a program for license renewals until the entire program had submitted their license applications. We're going to do this. We're just going to take that same principle, but apply it to reappointment contracts. So that means the resident or the trainee and the PD needs to sign off on the contracts in order for us to submit limited license renewals. So we're going to kind of use that as a double check to make sure everything's getting done. But yeah, reappointments moving along smoothly. I don't think I have much of anything else in there. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, hopefully at the next meeting, once the licensing board goes, the new system goes live. We've been waiting with bated breath. We've got the training on it. It's just a matter of them flipping the switch. So that's our biggest holdup on some things right now. So we'll be able to talk about it more next meeting, I think.
All right,
Fingers
that's awesome.
crossed.
So
Yeah, I know.
So the way the coordinators used to go in too to see and print out certificates, that'll no longer be. GME is, with this new process, GME is really responsible for all licensing, all printing out the certificates, uploading to MedHub, letting you know once they're approved. The board did say that they did put a policy in place. They're going to continue with the provisionally issued limited licenses if needed this year. They stated that those, for this will be for the initials. I'm sorry, I'm jumping into that, but I was kind of excited. They said they'll get the provisional limited licenses issued after 3 days of receipt of an application. And then hopefully within a few weeks, the final approval. Hopefully it's going to go a lot smoother, but again, more information to follow, more information for the program directors, letting them know they're not going to need to sign off, but they will need to let GME know if the resident is not in good standing, or if there's, any issues going forward there. I
And
wish I had more.
we'll still have a list of all the people that before license renewals start, we'll have a list of all the people that need to do a yes answer, as far as, a leave of absence or corrective actions or anything like that. So once that happens, I'll have that list based off of my reappointment spreadsheet to give to Deb to send to everybody who needs to make sure that they do a yes answer. It's easy enough for us now to see, to send the it back, but it's easier just to do it the first time around.
Absolutely.
That's all I've got.
all right, it sounds great. It sounds like there's less things to check off, which is wonderful. It felt like there was a lot of repetitive work the way we were previously doing it. So
exactly. And I will be providing another checklist like I did last year. I came across that and I said, oh, that looks helpful, but it needs a lot of updating. So like I said, a lot more information to follow. Keep an eye out for emails from me or anyone in the GME office. This is our busy time coming up, and just a lot of information to share with everybody. So just keep an eye out.
all right, thank you. So next on my list, what I had was orientation updates. I'm also not positive if there's a lot to share at the moment, but just kind of checking in.
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. So there's no real orientation updates, much more than what I sent to you in that email a couple of weeks ago, where it sort of outlined just the tentative dates. Those are the dates that we have secured with iCells for the certification courses, our GME orientation events. So the resident orientation would be on June 29th. Fellow orientation would be Monday, July 3rd. Our welcome event will be Friday, June 30th. This year, July 1st is on a Saturday, which is causing a little bit of angst, I think, for some programs, because obviously fellows aren't going to be able to start working until they've had their IS training, and they can't get here before July 1. So I'm right now working with IS to see what is possible. We have tossed out the idea of possibly trying to train folks on Saturday, the 1st. They haven't really gotten back to us with an answer. I think on the surface, it's a possibility, but there's also always money involved. So their first thing to me was, well, who's going to pay the additional monies, because they would be getting time and a half, I think, for working on a weekend. And there's also some other challenges just with access to the building, and GME would need to be on site just to make sure, well, not all of us, but GME would have to have a presence that day just to make sure that everything was going the way it should. So we're talking about that right now. As soon as we have the final, that big schedule, I will send that to you. The trainers did send me a draft where they've sort of plugged in where IS training would fall within those 2 weeks. So as soon as we have that, I will circulate it for a review period so that all of you will have an opportunity to check it, to make sure that there's no conflicts. If there is anything that doesn't look like it's going to work for whatever reason, that would be the time to reach back out to me to alert me to that so that we can continue to work through it. My goal is to try and get something to you, not too long after match day. So hopefully, like early April would be the latest. I know in a couple, the years past, it's been really, really late for you. And I understand the difficulties that causes, especially when we're not, 100% certain sometimes when the residents actually have to be here. And, BLS is starting on June 16th. So we want you to at least be able to tell your new folks, yes, you need to be planning to be in Worcester by this date because you will have BLS training starting. That large spreadsheet, that we use every year, I tried to simplify it a little bit where it's color coded. So you can easily just look for anything that's yellow is going to be IS training. Anything that's green is GME orientation. Anything that is dark blue is our holidays. So it does look overwhelming, but if you watch the key, you should be able to just say, okay, I want to know when my folks are taking IS training. I'm going to look for yellow. I'm going to find my program name, and hopefully it will be a little bit more, straightforward. I don't know if people have any questions about that. As we get more into the orientation, planning, more and more details will come out about forms that need to be completed, requirements, things having to do with lab coats, the confidentiality forms for IS training, things of that nature. So we'll be rolling all of these things out over the next couple of months. What I do anticipate is that we will still use the Google Drive for all of the orientation documents and references, resources that you need. My feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people liked the Google Drive rather than the emails with a bunch of attachments, which is what we had been doing previously. It just helped centralize everything. And folks just had, one link where they could just have it saved in their favorites and just go to it and grab what they needed. So that is where I'm at for orientation right now. Oh, the one thing that we will do actually differently for IS training with lunch, I'm sure most of you know, but Eric's La Patisserie was the one that did all of our catering. He has since retired, is out of business, and was very, very accommodating for our group. So in order to provide the same level of flexibility for folks with, food allergies and food restrictions and things like that, we decided rather than bringing food in and taking a bunch of orders that we have to try and customize and not doing the big buffets, because again, we don't know where we're going to be at with COVID, we thought we would just provide Next Dine gift cards to all of the trainees. It saves GME a little bit of logistics planning as well, because if we give them the gift card, they can leave IS training, go over to the Sherman Center. There's tons of seating over there. There's outdoor seating. They can pick whatever they would like for lunch, have their lunch, and come back for training, versus, trying to book rooms for them and, again, trying to do the buffets. And it just seemed like it would allow people the flexibility to, pick whatever they would like, enjoy their lunch, have space to eat without worrying about rooms being available and things of that nature. The other thing is if they test out of the full day training and they're still going to get their gift card for lunch, they can use it at another time. Gift card's not going to expire, so they can use it that day or save it for another time. That did remind me that last year was the first year we started doing the test out option. So if you remember, we had a form that got sent to all of the incoming that asked about their prior experience with Epic. And last year we only allowed the test out option, or IS only allowed the test out option for the ambulatory and inpatient modules. This year, I believe they're going to roll it out to surgery as well as emergency medicine. So once they have confirmed that, there will be a form that will go out to folks ahead of time, asking them to answer some questions about their prior Epic experience. IS will be able to review those, get people out some sort of testing. If they perform well on that, then they would only need to go to IS training in the morning, which would free them up, you know, in the afternoon to do other things. This is called their amplifier training, and I'm excited to see that they're, you know, rolling it out to a couple other specialty areas, so that will help people, I think, in terms of planning and saving the trainees some time. So more to come on that. That form for testing out, I might try and work with coordinators to see. I'm not sure how much communication you guys do right after match day, but if generally programs are sending out communication to their newly matched residents or fellows to say, hey, we're so happy you're joining us. Come July 1st, here's some basic information that I need. If I could include that link in your communication to your newly matched folks, the sooner we get that information, the sooner we can confirm exactly how those IS training days are going to roll out. So it will help us get you the information quicker so you know what your people are going to be doing on what days. So more to come on that.
Melissa, there was one quick question in the chat about immigration, the immigration orientation portion being on Friday, June 30th. Is that still the case?
Yes, it's going to, I have to run it by them, but that's where I have it plugged right now to be after the lunch. And then those folks that are on, you know, that it may apply to that are fellows and can't be here on June 30th, it will be recorded because it will be through Zoom. And, you know, as in the past, you could just provide that information to them and have them watch it. We are unsure at this time whether we're doing an in-person welcome lunch or if we will continue with the Zoom program. So we'll be discussing that. I think I've got it on speakers' calendars for an hour and a half as if it's going to be an in-person event, with the caveat that we'll see where we're at as we get a bit closer, and we will book a room just in case we decide that we want to do in person. It would be nice to, but last year we also had planned that and then decided it wasn't worth all the new interns getting, you know, COVID and not being able to work on July 1st. So we'll see, you know, over the next couple months, you know, what our thoughts are about that.
I had one other thing that I just thought of regarding the already matched trainees. They will be assigned the onboarding package with everybody else immediately following match day. It hasn't been really too beneficial assigning the onboarding package to them earlier. And we have a deadline of March 1st for all the updates for our onboarding package. So we are going to include them with everybody who matches on match day. So if they do reach out to you, I have heard from a couple already saying, you know, when can I start my paperwork? When can I start my licensing? There's still going to be plenty of time for them if they need, and if ISO or anybody needs them to be assigned sooner, we'll definitely look at that on a case-by-case basis, but the majority will all of the new incoming will be assigned at the same time. Any questions on that?
All right, thank you guys. If there's any questions, just put it in the chat and we'll circle back. The next thing on my agenda was Resident and Fellow Appreciation Week. I know GME is working on some things. I thought it would also be a good idea for us to brainstorm a little bit. I'm curious what individual programs are doing just to get some ideas. So does anyone want to share what GME has planned? I know there's gift cards, but I'm not sure what else.
Sure. So I think Megan is on too. So Megan, myself, Dr. DeMarco, and several residents had a planning meeting. We brainstormed different ideas. Some things we were able to do, some things we were not able to do. This year, we're going to be offering the free yoga class as we have in the past. There'll be free coffee and tea in all of the cafeterias. Well, actually, let me back up. GME Appreciation Week is February 27th through March 3rd. The CXO office is offering a wellness grand rounds. The topic that the residents had selected was coping strategies for chronic stress. And that's going to be held on Wednesday, March 1st from 8 to 9. So we'll be putting a save the date on calendars for residents and for coordinators. We're going to have 2 giveaways for everyone. So everyone will get a little token of appreciation that week. We'll keep those a surprise. Raffle items, this year we have some new stuff. The school has donated 4 packs of Woosocks tickets. Nextine has offered some gift cards. The new Cafe 1888 at Memorial has also thrown in a couple of gift cards for those based at Memorial. Lots of local restaurants and local shops, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Dunkin's, Grubhub. The school has offered, I think, 3 residents covered parking in the West Garage for a month. Memorial is also offering either closer parking, valet parking for a set amount of time for those that are based at Memorial. We're trying to arrange for the pet therapy dogs. Dr. DeMarco has been working with volunteer services. That's who coordinates that. And so, Megan, am I missing anything?
I think you're right on track for everything.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, I think it's going to be a great week, and then it sort of kicks off on the Friday before. So 27. So February 24th. That's the Thank a Resident Day that is run by the Gold Humanism Honor Society. So it's the medical students, and they do little gifts, thank you cards, and things like that for the residents. So they'll be doing some special things that week, and there may be some other events planned. We sort of avoided that week because it's school vacation week, and we know that's tough for people. So we sort of say our kickoff is that Friday. We also, I think, might have some extra funds available. I think a couple years ago, we did, actually, I think the Gold Humanism students did this. They went to BJ's and just bought a bunch of prepackaged snacks, and we had them available in the GME conference room at university. And then the residents just dropped in during the day, and they could just come in and just pick up. They could just go to the boxes and just pick out the snacks that they wanted, and they really seemed to enjoy that. It also gives GME a little bit of face time with the residents themselves. And I think folks from other campuses, the coordinators might have come over and picked up some things, but the students have offered to bring, some snacks over to those other campuses. So that may be something that we do as well. But I'll turn it back over to Monique, just in terms of, we are wanting to remind programs that, while GME is doing an institutional activity and events for the residents, that they do want to be recognized and appreciated by their own programs. And I think annually we've seen some variation in what programs do. We have some programs that really do a lot of personalized, special things for their residents. And then we have other programs that maybe don't do much of anything, and they all talk and they all see each other and they sort of feel that. So we always want to take time at these meetings to remind folks of when it is. I think maybe last year, Monique, did we have it on the Google Drive where we asked people to sort of like put some ideas there?
Yeah, we did. I actually should have looked at that before this meeting. So I don't recall what was on there. I know some, one of the variables is how much funding you have to thank a resident. So I am curious. And I actually, now that you mentioned that, I feel like we should probably resend out that link, clear the document, and just have you guys put in more things that you've done or things that you have in mind. I'm just curious to see if there's anything we can do different in PEDS. What are you guys planning, or are you guys planning? Was it on your radar? You can share in the chat as well if you don't want to unmute.
And we're certainly not saying that you have to, spend money on the residents, but I think even if it's just promotion of it within your program to your program director, associate program director, chief residents, chiefs, division chiefs, like just getting faculty, getting people to know. And even if it is just something as simple as, they are all in an area at one time and everyone just says, thank you, we appreciate you. That goes a long way. It doesn't have to be, we're going to spend $500 and $1,000 on GME Appreciation Week in our program. We're certainly not saying that. And I think that spreadsheet that we had circulated last year, we asked folks to sort of help us understand like what the budget was, because someone might say they spent $100, but they had X number of residents. And so maybe that is an idea that you could use, but you only have 5 residents, not going to cost you $100. They had 20 residents. So it kind of gave some folks ideas, a little bit of perspective, and maybe talking about it now and getting that document active again will help you kind of have those conversations with your program directors and faculty.
Yeah, in the chat, we see that some programs buy them lunch. Michelle said, we haven't done anything, but I would love some ideas. Some inexpensive ideas that we did that was really appreciated by our residents was we just got like a white poster board and asked like nursing staff. And we wrote like, we love our residents, and we had nursing staff just write them little messages, and then they put that in their shared workspace and they saw their messages. So we circulated that the week before, during the different shifts, and just had it at the different nurses' workstations. And that was very well received and super cheap. So there's a comment that our residents from faculty will plan an activity for their group in their ambulatory week, anything from food at the ADP home to evening out, which is, that's a cool idea. I know some programs do like a get together either at a resident's home or the program director's home, where oftentimes it's cheaper to like get food there versus going to a restaurant and having them go there. Then you save on like tip and taxes, and it's just a little bit easier. We did little thank you bags and decorated their rooms with thank you notes. That's a good idea as well, which is fairly inexpensive. One thing that we did last year that I will admit was very expensive, but we got donations from faculty members, was we did a collection and got them a massage chair. And the massage chair, I think, was about $1,000 for 27 residents. And they love that thing, but that's a lot of effort, a lot of work. But that was an idea, was collect some funds and then see what you can do with it if faculty members are open to donating for the trainees. Deanna said, I think we need to visit the Peds resident lounge. So it's one of the other things that's a little different, but the lounge was pretty gross. So one thing we're working on is cleaning it out and updating. We worked with EBS and got like the big blue bins and just dumped stuff out. Oftentimes, dealing with residents, I've learned can be like dealing with your own children, especially if you have teenagers. So we did like a deep clean. And I remember we found like a yogurt that had been in there since like 2016. It was so gross in the fridge, but no one, like they were like, oh, we didn't know whose it was, or it was just the whole thing. But that boosted morale and just was really appreciated by them, where it wasn't like, it didn't cost anything. It just took time and effort. So myself and APD and the chief residents, we just kind of went in and like did a deep clean of their space, and that was greatly appreciated. But nothing more disgusting than finding a yogurt from 2016. All right. I mean, what I'll do is I may actually share the form as is, just so that last year's ideas are still there and we can just continue adding to it, and we can, I don't know, just figure out, maybe share some ideas. If you guys have anything, add it to that form, or don't hesitate to send anyone in the Coordinator Advisory Committee or GME an email so that we can share it with the group. Because I feel like we can never run out of ideas, and doing the same thing over and over just gets stagnant and doesn't feel as special when it's the same thing over and over.
One of the ideas that we had tossed around, which I think is still sort of on the table, but it does take time to do. A couple years ago, we did a reception with leadership, school leadership and clinical leadership for the residents to come to, and everyone sort of shared their appreciation through stories and reflections and things. And I think it was a really nice event, but there was actually probably, more speakers than actual residents and fellows that joined it. It was recorded. But I think there's, those stories and those thank yous from leadership, I think, do go a long way. And so we had talked about maybe trying to get Michael Gustafson to record a quick video, Andy Carson, Dean Flott, and then each time Dr. DeMarco sends out the raffle winners, we can sort of include a little video of thanks, all residents, or do it separately from the raffle notifications. So that's something too that programs, could also do. It's very, it's more simple now than it was in the past. Everyone has a phone, they can record something, or even through Zoom record something and share it pretty easily. Slideshows, they tend to bring those up a lot. So if there's, a way to share something, before a grand rounds, or, where it's just kind of what Monique said on a whiteboard, but through a slideshow where there's pictures and just quotes and things like that. So yeah, sometimes it isn't money related. It's more of your effort.
Yeah, that actually reminded me one thing we also did, I think it was 2 years ago, was we created a kudo board. Now the kudo board, I think I paid $10. It was super cheap. And everyone can type in messages. So we sent a link to like all of our faculty members and our ancillary staff and just said, hey, thank a resident days coming up and we want to show appreciation. Please, give them a few words. And it allowed you to like add in memes and add in videos. And that was really cool and well received. And then once it's done, that particular year, I didn't print it out, but it gives you the option to like put it all on a nice like poster board. And that I think was an additional like $50 if you wanted to do that, and they would mail it to you. But because it was later when we thought of it, it wasn't going to get here in time at UMass. So we didn't go ahead with the printing of the kudo board. But it was super cool. We had a couple faculty members that made videos. The memes were great. The residents really liked seeing the memes, and you can really see like the sense of humor of your program. And it was very well received. And the initial cost was, I want to say it was like $10. And that's called Kudo board. It's KUDO board. And it was just so easy as well. It was actually easier than doing the paper one, because then I had to keep tracking it down. And with the paper one, I think we got to like Wednesday of that week and it looked empty, and I was mortified because I was like, oh, we can't have this with like 5 things on it. So then I had to go and like rally everyone and make sure that they posted their comments on it. So, all right.
So Monique, I'll see. I think that Google Doc was in our GME drive, possibly. I think I might have created it. I'm not 100% sure. So I'll see if I have it. And do you want me to clear out what's there, or do you want to leave what's there and have people just, add to it if they have new ideas?
Yeah, I would say leave what's there so that, if their idea is already on there or if they've tweaked it a bit, we can just continue adding to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll follow up with you.
All right. The next thing and the final thing I had on the agenda was the leave of absence. So Deb DeMarco sent an email recently about the updated ACGME leave policy that's active as of July 1st, 2023. And what this policy states is that resident or fellows with a minimum of 6 weeks of approved medical time are consistent. Yeah, we knew about that. Resident and fellows will have an equivalent of 100% of their salary for the 6 weeks that they take off for the first 6 weeks. But the one thing that was different that I think is great is that resident and fellows with a minimum of 1 week of paid time off reserved, they need to get paid off 1 additional week outside of the first 6 weeks. And that has to be like, they're allowed the 1 week of vacation time. So some of the questions is, if I'm a PGY1 and I just started my program at UMass Chan, will I still qualify for the 6 weeks? And you will. And then there are questions about, do I have to use my paid time off if I am approved for LOA? And you do. Now, all of this was in the email, but I wanted to make you guys aware of some of these changes. And I think just yesterday or the day before, Melissa McLaughlin also emailed out an updated leave of absence form. Is that correct, Melissa? All right.
Yes. So yeah, the ACGME leave was a little confusing, and it took some time for us to figure out how we were going to operationalize it. Because originally it was sort of sounding like there was this extra bank of time that people could pull from to say like, oh, I'm going to use my ACGME leave, those 6 weeks, I'm not going to use my accruals. The institution HR had advised that no, it is pretty clear that we can ask them to use their accruals for the 6 week time. So basically, once during their training, they need to be able to be paid 100% of their salary for a full 6 weeks. The benefits that they get here are pretty good. So they have a lot of paid time, especially because their sick time carries over. If they've been here for several years, they're going to have that paid time for them. So what I'm doing when I'm seeing leave of absence requests coming in, I'm looking for those people who maybe are in their first year, right? Who maybe they took vacation and then exhausted a lot of their time. They don't have a lot of sick time, but now they have a medical issue. So in those cases, if someone took all of their vacation time and say they now only have 3 weeks of time, but they need to be out for 7 weeks because they have to have a back surgery or something like that. They would have their 3 weeks of sick time had they not used it, and the institution would have to provide the additional 3 weeks at 100% of their pay. So it's really for people who are, low on the accrual amounts, but have an instance where they need to take a longer leave than they maybe planned on in a particular year. So, most of the people that are taking leaves now are taking them, maybe they're taking a 12-week leave, but they have 6 weeks of paid time accruals, no problem. And the rest of it, they're using additional accruals, or maybe they're applying for PFML to help supplement. So, but the leave of absence form that I just recently sent out, we made some changes to it. Cassie made it a fillable PDF that will hopefully be a little bit easier. We made the top part, we took out some of that extra information that we don't really need. The only reason it was set up the way that it was it mirrored the school HR leave of absence form, which we don't use in GME. So we had kind of kept the same format, but we cleaned it up a little just because there was a lot of extra information there that we didn't need. I did make some clarifications on the form regarding the use of sick time when it comes to maternity leaves and paternity leaves, because that comes up quite a bit. But the problem that we had been encountering was around people, it not being clear what people's intentions were in terms of how they would use their accruals while they were on leave. Like how much of it is sick time and how much of it is vacation time. And we would sometimes find out about these things because when someone returns from a leave, we notify HR that the person has returned from leave, and HR needs to put something into their system that says this person has returned. When that doesn't happen, the only way that person will continue to get paid is if they are putting in accruals. And so if you know, as a coordinator or timekeeper, my person's back, it's regular time now, and you don't put any time in, we see these situations occur where they're getting no pay for time when they have been returned to work. So we're asking you to have your resident fill in how they actually want to report their time. Make sure that when the person returns from leave, that at least for one full pay period after they have returned, you enter regular time for them. And we're working with HR to help, make sure that they are doing the return to leave in the system quicker. But to sort of circumvent any issues, we feel like it's a good policy in place just to include regular time so that we don't have instances where people all of a sudden show up not getting paid. Deb Rollo reviews the payroll registers and identifies these. And that's when sometimes we find out, like, wait a minute, why did this person report their time this way? That's not correct. So I'm reviewing the leaves of absence requests, reviewing the accrual amounts, checking the accrual banks to make sure that it jives with what they're wanting to do, leaving any notes on the form about, what might need to be done differently, and then sending it back to the coordinator and the timekeeper if they're different people, so that everyone's on the same page about how the time should be reported. With the regular time being needed afterward, that shouldn't be necessary, but it just really is a Band-Aid to make sure that we don't have people fall through the cracks and go unpaid, because when that happens, it's a lot more work for everyone. There's a lot of angst for the resident. Payroll needs to cut an emergency check. We have to coordinate with the program and the resident to pick up that check. So we're just asking for, basically to just use a Band-Aid for now until we can ensure that HR has a better process to make sure everyone's returned when we notify them.
I have a quick question, and I know that this may not happen often, if ever, but say someone does already use up all of their vacation time and they use up their sick time, and the institution ends up paying 2 weeks of additional time for them. Will those 2 weeks be deducted the following year from sick, or are those two separate things?
They're two separate things. Yep.
Okay.
Because it's within the academic year. So that reserve, that 1 week of reserved time that we need to provide to them, that is only if they have not used vacation within that academic year. If they've already used, if they've already taken the time, then we would not have to reserve that week. Yeah. So that new leave of absence form is in MedHub. The note that I sent to coordinators and program directors, I'm going to forward a similar message to all of the residents so that they're aware of this as well, and that they know where to find the new form.
Yeah, if we get any copies of the old form, we're gonna send them back and ask you to redo them. Please make sure that you're filling out every section of that. There's sections asking for how you're going to be using your time, sick, vacation, personal. We need to know that. And also, as soon as you send that form to us, put the request into MedHub. I very frequently have to remind coordinators to do that. That is a step of the process. Send us the form, put it right into MedHub, put the request in. You don't have to upload anything. You don't need any, doesn't matter if the dates change, you need to put the request into MedHub. Because if you don't, that creates more work for us. I have to send you a reminder. I have to do it. Please do that. So that way, once it does, the LOA form does get signed, I have somewhere to upload it and keep track of things. So please make sure you're doing that step of the process as well.
And for the coordinators that are newer, those dates that are on the form, there's no reason to wait to submit the form because the person's not sure of, they're going to have a baby. We know the baby's going to come when the baby's going to come. So those dates we state on the form are anticipated dates. So whatever you think the leave time is going to be, that's what you should include on that form. And then just keep in contact with GME when those dates change. So if, someone goes out a couple days early because the baby was coming early, you should just let Cassie know, Sally Jones just left on maternity leave. She wasn't supposed to go for another couple days. And then same when they are returning, you should always notify GME that the person has returned to work. And that's what prompts Cassie then to send the paperwork to HR so that they can be returned from leave properly.
I do have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all the dates and everything, but it's a lot easier if you guys let me know. It's your one resident or one fellow, so please let me know. I have trainees across programs that are leaving at all different times. It's hard to keep track of just myself, so please, you need to make that your responsibility. That's your responsibility. Let me know when somebody goes out and when somebody comes back. That's on the coordinator to do that.
And Cassie, safe to say ideally like a week before, just because I've had the struggle with they're supposed to be back and you send the forms and then there's a delay for their return to work. So is that safe to say?
No, it's fine. I mean, if you find out that day that they've come back to work, that's fine, as long as I'm notified. I generally like to check in, a couple days ahead of time. If I'm, I check my leave of absences like a couple times a week because I know there's always somebody going out, coming back, blah, blah, blah. So I may reach out, but it's a lot easier if you guys just let me know, or if there's, somebody was scheduled to come back today, they're not going to come back for a week. Shoot me a message. That way it's in my mind. I can update my reminders, or, the baby was due today, scheduled a C-section for this weekend or something, whatever. I know, especially with babies, I know they come when they want to come. Just as long as keep in contact with me, just give me an update. I may not even reply. Just, it's like, okay, cool. I know that's happening. But like I said, that's your one or maybe two people versus the 10 or 15 that I have to juggle. So it'd be very much appreciated if you guys would keep me in the loop instead of me having to reach out all the time.
All right, thank you. So if there are no more questions, that's everything I had on the agenda. I don't know if anyone had any other things they wanted to discuss during this meeting or any questions for GME. This is the time. But if not, then I guess we can break and you're getting back about half an hour of your day.
Monique, did you want to make a quick mention about you said the coordinator survey was going to go out?
Oh, I did. So the coordinator survey will be going out in the February newsletter. There'll be a link there, and we're going to send a direct link as well, just because we know sometimes not everyone can view the newsletter, or sometimes with all the emails it can get bogged down. So there will be a survey link in the February newsletter, and we'll be sending out the link as well, just to get some feedback on how these meetings are going, things we can do better, some general feedback on GME. And just like an open response section. And then the other thing I actually wanted to mention is that those that went to the social over the holidays, thank you, the Tavern in the Square event. And sorry, I just received a message, but we are planning another social, and that next one is going to be in March. And Jen Bernstein is going to be leading that. We are trying to figure out a good date for that. but the plan is to make it like a happy match day event, and just kind of have us hang out. We'll probably do the same thing at Tavern in the Square. Jen will be sending an email with like a when can you go type of survey, just asking like, these are the dates we're thinking, which date works best for you. So that is upcoming as well, which we're excited about. I'm excited about having more social events and having us get together more often.
Is there something in this coordinator survey that asks for feedback about the newsletter? I mean, I want to thank Cassie Wamister for kind of keeping us on task. We've had one every single month, and she is like got it all pulled together and is always looking for, you know, just sending out reminders, asking people to, you know, review or provide their content. So I really appreciate the time that she's putting into it. And I hope that people are finding it to be, you know, a nice break from work, you know, for a couple of minutes to get a few little tidbits of information. If there's a way that we can improve it, if people are looking for something, I don't know, more detail, not so much. We think monthly is still working, but if people have any thoughts about it, please share, because, you know, we're putting it together for all of us, and we want it to be valuable for the group. So it'll be great if I don't know if Cassie is on, but I think that there is a link in the newsletter that asks for anonymous feedback about the newsletter, and I don't know if we've gotten any.
Yeah, I don't remember. Cassie's not on, but there are questions about the newsletter. I think we're on month 5. So Cassie's done an amazing job. If it were not for her, this newsletter would not have taken off. So
yes, and I appreciate everyone who's submitted, you know, the intros and the opening messages. Those have been great. And I think that she still has a queue of people for coordinator spotlight and for those folks wanting to write the intro. But if you haven't yet and you have interest, please make sure you just reach out to her and get on the list. I think we have, for those intros, some general topics that we had come up with. The coordinator advisory group had some suggested areas to write about, but if you have an idea for something, definitely reach out to her and we can work with you. The other quick thing is MedHub Mondays. I think we had talked about this a couple meetings ago. MedHub Mondays, we started in GME, where Cassie was sort of spending a half an hour with the GME office staff just to review functionality of MedHub, what some of the features are that we see there, but we've never used or touched. And it sort of pointed out some areas where we're like, wow, I didn't know we could do that. That's a great, it's great that it's there. So we thought that after we had done, I don't know, maybe half a dozen, maybe 10 of these sessions in GME, we thought, hey, these are maybe really valuable to the larger group. And what about rolling it out to all of the coordinators? So Cassie, I'll turn it over to you. I don't remember when the first one is scheduled, but I believe we have something on the calendar to sort of kick it off.
We do. It's going to be, nope, wrong month. Hold on. It's going to be February, March 6th at 1 is going to be our first session. Again, these are drop-ins. Feel free to come. I'm going to be recording them. They're only going to be half hour, maybe 45 minutes. I'm going to keep them really short. This isn't really like a general question and answer thing. I'm going to be just going over one specific topic, saving questions for the end if need be, and then follow-ups kind of just one-on-one. As this, develops a little bit more, Tina Pierce is going to start helping me out with these as well. She's a big old MedHub guru as well over in IM. She's been doing a really great job. That's really all she does is MedHub in internal medicine. So she's been doing a great job over there. So if you haven't filled out the survey that I emailed a few weeks ago, asking for topics that people are interested in, I put, I don't know, maybe like 20 different topics on there. So anything that you guys want to see specifically, me, I could talk about it all day long. So if there's anything in particular, or even if there's something that's not on that list that, you have questions about, I'm more than happy to go through that stuff. So that way it's all kind of in one place. I'm going to record all the sessions. I'm going to put there's already a folder in the coordinator job aids and resources folder. in MedHub that has some MedHub Monday videos. And Hilda asked, the first date is Monday, February 6th, and it's going to be every other Monday. So starting on February 6th, every other Monday after that. So like twice a month we'll be doing it. So yeah, that I'm looking forward to it. I hope I see some faces there. And like the week before, I'll let you know what I'm going to be talking about that day. So that way, you know, you don't have to play a guessing game, or if it's something you're not interested in, you don't have to come. So yay. Thank you.
So there
Yes,
is a kudos in the chat about who's been doing the GME online postings. I'm assuming they mean on IG. So whoever that is, it's great.
Oh, that's
Seems like,
Cassie.
Cassie. Well, there's a kudos in the chat. Good job, Cassie. That's awesome. And I'm sorry, Melissa, I think I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I don't remember. Oh, so we're thinking that after the MedHub Mondays after we've gone through several of these topics, that we'll have a nice little library of quick references for people that we can have available for those who join us as new coordinators. I think that's part of my goal, is to sort of expand on the onboarding that we have for new coordinators, because it's pretty minimal. So along with the follow-ups that we're doing after the first sort of orientation meeting with new folks, we'll have these other resources available. We do have the MedHub trainings, but those are really, I think, more advanced for people than what you know, we would start out with these MedHub Mondays with Cassie. If they're labeled with specific topics, I think for a newer person, it's going to be easier to consume a half an hour high level view of one particular thing or another, rather than the MedHub trainings, which I think would come later. Once you understand the basics of the system, that maybe then that would be the next step. So these are sort of an in-between set of resources we hope to have available. And then I think we talked to about, you know, there'll be set topics on certain Mondays that Cassie will have pre-planned, but then I think we can pick random ones where if people just want to come and it's just a Q&A, you know, and everyone can just say, oh, you know, Cassie's just going to take questions and just sort of do a potpourri of MedHub. And that might be helpful for some folks as well, you know, and a sharing of best practices could be another sort of session where, you know, people can come to say like, hey, I learned to do this in MedHub and it's worked really great for me, and it could really help out another program. So just as us being able to share ideas and workflow.
Cassie, can we add the MedHub Mondays to the MedHub calendar?
Sure.
Just
Yep.
the same way like GMEC is on there?
Oh yeah, I can pop that in.
Thank you.
We all good, everybody?
I think so. Cassie, do you mind making me host when you log off? There is someone that wants to stay on after.
Oh, I was gonna stay on after as well with Hilda.
Oh, okay. So,
Sorry.
no, that's fine. Let's both stay on and just make a quick breakout room.
Okay. I'm gonna stop recording right now then.